I've rehashed a few slides here from a presentation I did nearly 4.5 years ago, AI for informed decision making. And this webinar is a precursor to the release of UniPhi 21, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end, and also a plea for help since that webinar was released. We had some really exciting AI enhancements in the UniPhi 21 release, which I'll be showing, but also I look to the future, what we're doing with some clients at the moment that's bespoke around AI, and how you can get your deployment ready for some of this stuff. One of the issues with our current user base is the required level of sort of data that we need for this to actually fly. So with that in mind, I'm going back to my sort of rant from 4 years ago where we were trying to get people excited about the potential of AI. And I'll preface it with, there's not much in the marketplace at the moment for the type of AI we're talking about. And I'll explain what the difference is between that and what is in the marketplace at the moment. And what I mean, again, in the context of that, before I show you the next slide, is in the context of business-informed decision-making. So assured, data-led, machine learning-based insights to help you make decisions across portfolio and project management life cycles. So that could be decisions around a business case, it could be decisions around how much to quote for a job, it could be decisions around what resource profiles and how much resource effort you will need on future programs, both from a consolidated perspective enterprise-wide, but also from a project perspective, and getting those sorts of insights out of your business. And the only way you can do that is to drive it from your data. It has to come from your data. And this is the key. If you look at AI in the public domain and how it's being used, you've got ChatGPT and you've got Copilot, they're really strong summarizers of content using the internet's power of data source to be able to train the model. And so they've created large language models. Now, when we did this presentation 4 years ago, I was introducing people to the concept of ChatGPT and what it does. And obviously, a lot of software products now embed that, and our release of UniPhi 21 embeds OpenAI's ChatGPT product into our product so that you can do summaries on the fly of the documentation and of the issues and the things like that you've got in UniPhi. And that is a massive help. There's no doubt about it. And it's the way that AI is being used currently. But, that's the thin edge of the wedge. There's a lot more that you can do. And, for 14, 15 years now, UniPhi has been a portfolio first product that's led to a lot of benchmarking, parametric modeling, estimating using parameters rather than bottom-up estimating and things like that. So this is the extension of that. It's the extension of that journey. And to do that, you're going to need data. And so, Tesla's a bit on the nose these days, but if you look at the concept, even if you don't believe it worked, and, it works to a degree, I guess. And again, it depends on which article you read in the paper or whatever news channel you get. But if you look at that sort of concept, what they have done over many, many, many years now is get their network of cars to be sending them data on how people are driving and what the road looks like, so that the image recognition, essentially, the AI becomes has eyes. And so that's why they need so many graphic chips that they partnered with on, and that's why NVIDIA's is the largest, or if not second largest market cap company in the world right now. So that was an example of the level of data you need for AI to work. So all the rest is just hype. And so for that to work in business, that's hard work. You need to be able to capture large amounts of data. And some companies probably won't even have the capability to do that internally. You would need to get that data from elsewhere. So data's become the key. Data's become what people want. However, you can still leverage the data in UniPhi to machine learn and get other insights for data-driven decision-making, essentially. And we've had one project in our sphere of clients where that was possible. It was a large roads program of work. So it's a program of small projects, disparate locations all around Sydney, lots of work breakdown structures, lots of timesheet data, lots of comments on timesheet data, but more importantly then issues that were incurred on that project. Design issues, construction phase issues, defect issues, and that creates an environment with massive data sets. This was a large program of works that ran over a number of years that we can now start to use to inform future programs of works. And I'll show examples of what that might look like at the back end of this webinar. So what I'm trying to do through that is really get you thinking about how broad does your data need to be in UniPhi to start getting really competitive advantage type scenarios. And as an example on this, with companies that do large capital works, we're now able to give really solid time and cost insights into their estimating and their resource profiling. So we're doing that as a bespoke thing with them because you do need large amounts of data for this to happen. One of the reasons we didn't develop the stuff that I'm going to show you at the back end of this is just no one in our user base who would be able to use it. So why fund software that no one's going to use? It becomes a technological cul-de-sac. But the potential is still there, and we are going to showcase some AI that is going to be available in UniPhi 21, which launches in 4 weeks. The official upgrade date when it becomes available, and I'll talk about that process at the end as well, is the 28th of August. That decision was made this morning, so it's hot off the press. So you need to be able to capture this large amount of information. Now, you don't have to have that happen in UniPhi itself. UniPhi has a lot of integrations. If you're using other applications, you can talk to us about how we can get that information into your deployment. And the beauty about doing that is, true AI doesn't need that much structure, and a lot of corporates are now using data lakes, which is unstructured data, to get their AI, but they tend to become data sewers. UniPhi is a structured database. It has a structured semantic model in its API, its application programming interface, that you can then use to build these inferences and these machine learning algorithms on. So by importing information from a variety of different sources, you get that integrated view of time, cost, quality, conversations, where you can get sentiment. We've got metadata galore about what the client is, who the supplier was, what sector that's in, what project type. That helps drive AI, that helps drive machine learning. So if you're thinking, UniPhi's interfaces themselves are not what's going to happen on a daily basis, I'm using these other products that are listed on this, then have a chat to us about getting that data into UniPhi anyway, so that you can start to look at these machine learning benefits that you might be able to get out of the system. All right, so that's that for now in terms of the PowerPoint. I'll just escape out of that for a moment. I escaped out of the wrong thing. Just back my chat. And my participants, sorry about this, guys. Good, right. Let's get into some exciting stuff. So, firstly, what I'm going to do is just talk about, what you can do with UniPhi 20 in large data sets and how that can help you make informed decisions. Just as a way of reminding new people, there's quite a lot of people on this call, what's capable. UniPhi is such a broad application. A lot of people aren't familiar with all of the little intricacies and elements. And one of the ones that is a precursor to machine learning, and in essence, it's an algorithm that doesn't self-learn, but it's still an algorithm that drives answers for you, is our benchmarked auto-phasing cash flow capability. And so I'm going to start there, and then that'll give you sort of a framework for where you can then take it from there. So I'm going to go into a project. This cheerful views, because we like to be cheerful. And I'm going to go into the budget screen. Now, the idea here, I'm just going to select a simple chart of accounts cash flow, right? So you just got a one-line cash flow. I'm going to clear this out. Oh, let's go. You know what? It's locked on me because of the budget transfers configuration. Let me go into another project. That's okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to, you've got an estimate from someone, or you've used some benchmarking data, which I'll show you in a moment, to come up with a number. You're doing some new commercial tower or mixed use building, and you've got an estimate come in, and it's a large project, and it's, you know, you just literally type in the number here. What we're really interested in here is what's the spend profile and what's the timeline of this project. We've just been, it's master planning stage. We haven't even decided, feasibility stage, haven't even decided to do this project. So that's the framework in which this conversation is being set. I go into the auto phasing section of UniPhi, and I select this benchmarking phasing algorithm. So I've just selected that and that. What it does when you select the benchmarking is it looks at the current sector that this project is in, and the project type and the service line, and it looks for any projects that have been completed in the past that matches that set of metadata. And you can see, as usual, none, right? This is the problem. So if I was to go and tick some other ones, the problem with ticking other ones, of course, is that they may not be relevant, and they most likely wouldn't be if they're in different sectors. But I want to give you a show of the functionality, and I get rid of this one. I've now got a list of projects that have finished. I know when they started, I know when they finished, I know what their phased actuals are. That may give me enough. This one's a big project as well. But you can get more information out of the system. And UniPhi, you're going to see this in our new AI summarizer. It needs to be trained. AI needs to be trained. And so what you're doing in this is you're actually training this algorithm to say, you know, this one is not relevant because it's only 9 million, it's too small. 6,000 is obviously irrelevant. That's a wrong project. And so you're not going to use dodgy projects. So you're ticking them out. Now, these are relevantly large projects that might be able to be good value for this. Tick that one. And, you know, I'm hoping that over time you would have like 40, 50 here, but you actually only need 5 or 6. We've tested this. This has been in the marketplace for a while. We've tested this out. And because productivity profiles haven't really changed a lot in construction, sadly, you can actually get incredibly accurate earned value profiles on building projects with very few data sets. So you don't need large data in this instance, but you do need some. And what this now does with the building units is it gives me, sorry, I'll do the areas, it's a better one. It gives me more information. So now I've got the floor area, the net lettable area, the GFA, and I can go in, and again, if the data's there, I can pick any of these, and it'll give me the information about those projects to make an informed decision on what to tick and what to untick. Then I've got my 85 million, I've got my start and finish date, and I hit save up the top here, and it phases that timeline out. I might make it 18 months. Again, that's a benchmark duration. I'll start it further in the future. So let's make it from today. And sorry. And I go in, I'm going to use all of these projects in this instance. These filters here are saying, look, I want it between this floor area and that floor area. So again, if you've got 100 projects, you can then minimize it down into ones that are similar to the scope of work that you've got in mind for your particular deployment, for your particular project, your office tower, your commercial tower, your residential tower, whatever it is, aged care facility. And then when I hit save, it takes that 85 million and it's phased it out. And if I go to the dashboard here, you'll see under the cash flow, normally you would get a nice blue timeline there, something to do with my dates, no doubt. But you'll see in the manual phasing screen that profile has been made, and you can see that from today, the value is coming up over time, peaking, and you know, this is dummy data, so it's not necessarily going to be 100% accurate, but that's the spend profile based on accurate historical information of how that project's going to spend its money. As you then let contracts and everything else, you've got this as a baseline. You can start to see how your builder is performing against that, get an earned value progress claim against the QS, and start knowing whether you've got trouble on that project. So, but also within a cost benefit analysis of a feasibility, you can feed that cash flow into that feasibility, look at your revenue profile, and get a net present value out of the system as well. So that's one way that
Can I
large
interrupt
data
there
set.
for a minute? Is there any, hi Mark, it's Angelo. Is there any workarounds to sort of see that the entire cash flow on a single page or across a couple of screens or?
So there's reports that can be run to show the whole lot, but it's a good point. In the UniPhi 21 release, which this isn't upgraded to fully yet, there is new phasing screens that enable you to show on the one screen that you scroll along just like you would in Excel to see the entire profile, whether it's 1 year or 100 years.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that's a work in progress to go live in 4 weeks' time. So that's been a bane of our existence for a little while, actually. So yeah, but we're busily beavering away on that now. And it's like 80% complete and it's looking really good. So my webinar for August next month will be demonstrating that functionality. And thanks for the question. No one ever asks questions. So guys, please feel free.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so with the answer to Kevin, sorry, I didn't see the chat. You can upload actuals. So if you are able to get a QS to give you data, get it out of them, or you have it yourself that isn't your projects. And if there were, we don't come with any data, right? So as a platform product, it's blank, it's empty, it's your data that you need to put into it. But it is possible to import actuals. And so you can create past projects and you can import on a portfolio as well. So if you've got data in spreadsheets of 100 projects that are finished and you know the cash flow profile of those projects, you can actually import those in. And that's part of that integration piece that I'm talking about, where if you've got databases that have past data, you can either extract to Excel, or if it's one that we integrate with out of the box, you could use that direct integration to import that past actuals profile and then start to use that to train the future forecasting cash flow. So thanks again for that chat. All right, so that's that one. The other one that I wanted to sort of point out, I'm going to go back to my cheerful views again. And this one again demonstrates that if you're not kind of using all the project management functionality, you're missing out on a lot of the algorithms. So I wouldn't, that's not machine learning, right? Software developers or software providers often extend, over exaggerate their claims. These metrics here are against the profile of the project, and they aggregate up to create the two overall red, amber, greens that come into the portfolio summary screen. And for the companies that actually use all elements of UniPhi, it drives project managers nuts because they can't game the system. And so what it does is there's about 20 different reasons that a cost red, amber, green might go amber and red. So you might think that you can game it to fix one and then it'll just go red or amber on the other one. And as the data is real and you're putting in progress claims and things like that, it's pretty tough to game the system. So you're unable to do your own assessment on where your project's at and then wait until it's like 2 weeks out from completion and go, actually, it's going to take another 4 months. So this is the thing, that transparency of what data gives you is it's data-led decision making. And so this is another example. If you do use the full breadth of UniPhi, there are two perspectives on this. This is looking at it from the person paying the bill for the project and then also your own internal fee. So these last four relate to if you're a consultancy business running a fee perspective, whereas this is from the, you know, I'm the property developer and I'm wanting to know whether the project's on track. But again, this says no risks for the project, which is a classic data quality issue. So it's flagging it as amber because of that, because it's saying it's unlikely that's true, that there are actually no risks on this project. But our system doesn't have any, so you might want to know about that. There's no time data available here. Probably that could be amber, but there you go. It's green, giving you a free pass there. So, you know, these are the things. If you get that commitment to drive the data into the system, and it might come from other systems. You might be importing a MS project file or a P6 file for time status. And the reason that this one is different to this is the overall project's time. This is how well you're billing. And at the moment, you're billing okay. In fact, so good, you're even ahead of what you've actually done, which is rather nice. You've invoiced in advance. But you're still losing money for some reason. So then you can go to reports and analyze that and get some information as to why, and the project manager has to justify themselves around that. So that's an example. Again, people ask, what are the 20? And we say, we're not going to tell you. And so again, it's a bit of a black box, but you do get told why when the thing is there, and you can go and investigate it. And the only reason I bring it forward is, again, if you don't have the breadth of data, you can't get the AI insights, is my mantra of the presentation. Yeah. So, that's something that you'll need to consider in all of this. But now what I'm going to do, now the WIP element's not new. The WIP element in the way that that gets calculated is sometimes different to the way that WIP gets calculated in other consultancies. So it's something you'd need to work through with a consultant to say how you want your WIP calculation to work. It's funny how there's no standard on that. It's the same with profit. Is it gross margin? Is it overheads? Is it fully a burden labor cost and all that sort of stuff? So what these things mean can be different depending on the client. But yeah, it has been there for a while, and should equal the project analysis report, which is my favorite consultant report in the system. If you want to run that on your deployment, you'll be able to see the WIP calculation there, and that's documented on our knowledge base site. So again, while I've got the attention of everyone, if you ever need to find out how something works, try going in here and go. See if I'm going to pull myself here. I didn't come up. It is in there somewhere. bad search. Oh, hang on. That's the one. Profitability reports. So in there, there'll be the project analysis report will be described. And in that, it'll explain, there it is, project analysis. It's always scary to do that live, but it'll go look at every single field and explain how that gets calculated, and included in that will be the WIP calculation. And so that's the one that's driving that WIP calculation on that red, amber, green screen. The other thing to know about that red, amber, green is such a load, it's such a heavy calculation thing that we actually do it in the background. So it's not 100% live. It's like updating every 10, 15 minutes so that we don't grind the application to a halt when people are trying to key in data and get data into the system. So that's something else. You might change something and then jump back here and want to see the WIP, but it might not have updated yet. Just another trick. All right, now I'm going to jump into the new release AI. That's not groundbreaking. There's plenty of products out there that are doing this stuff, but it's very useful because it's embedded within our product, and our product has features that other products might not have, and you can use them in a certain way that makes this interesting. So what I'm going to do is, before that, I was going to keep harping on this data. To find something to show you, I'm going to go into these dashboard reports. And so again, this is another example of where this is the sort of thing you need to get interesting insights, the level of data that you need. So in these sample reports, you can see here, this is a benchmark report that's got lots of projects of different scales, looking at sanitary fixtures to floor, water flow ratio, and gross floor area. On the key rates, it's the $1 per square meter or something, or we did a whole bunch of stuff with people in Saudi around hotel keys, and these are all projects and where they lie, and then you should be able to select your project and see where it sits and sense check that your parameters are correct. So these are examples of large data sets, portfolio-driven information that you can then start to make informed decisions. Supplier performance, who's delivering on time, how often are they delivering on time, analyzing that down by supplier and selecting those suppliers and saying, okay, what's their performance like? And again, if the data's missing, you can't get that information. So these are practical completion dates versus adjusted completion dates against the original commitment and getting variances around that. So you need to have that information. And that large road program I was talking about, they had this thing around RFIs, which was really good. They could tell, if I go back to all projects here, they could tell how long it took to answer an RFI, how much it cost, so open and issues, how many they closed in a month, all that sort of stuff. It's a massive amounts of data. And then within that, they had comments and emails and images of the RFI or the design issue or the defect. And so if I go back to that one that I just had open a minute ago, that give me something to search on. This is a high school project. Hang on. That's better. Use the error here, guys. Far out. Brain's not functioning. That's better. Got there in the end. Okay, so this is just them now, and these are the issues that are counted within these bars. And I'm going to show off some specific low-level functionality here now, where I can actually drill in to one of these, and I'm looking for this one here, and I'm going to drill in on it. And a new button appears. And this is a similar icon, hopefully be recognized if you used AI integration on any other web application. It's a similar kind of concept with stars or moons or something like that. And this is the new AI summarizer. Now, what it does is it summarizes content depending on the context of the system. So you might create a document, it's a PCG report, and you want to do an executive summary. You click this button, it summarizes all of the information that you've put into your PCG, and UniPhi gives that as the executive summary. This particular use case comes because I drove its development, because it saves us a huge amount of time. Now, we use UniPhi for everything. We call it dog food. We drive all of our projects including sales leads and product development, and you name it. And I will be called into an issue that's been long running that I haven't been involved in. And there will be emails and there will be comments from my staff. We don't do internal emails. So if you want to communicate, you write a comment against an issue. And these can go on forever, and they can be massive. And someone will be asking me a question, and frustration of mine over time is I've never prefaced the question with a little bit of a summary of where things have gotten to and how we got to this point. So I then have to trawl through all of these comments. It takes me 5-10 minutes sometimes to get my head around exactly what we're talking about, because it could be a new piece of functionality, or it could be a consulting data uptake issue or whatever. So now what I can do is I just click this button. And that is using OpenAI ChatGPT so we pass the comments to that. It doesn't store it, it's a in-memory thing. And it then processes that and summarizes it, kicks it back to us. And it tells us the issue involves two main concerns: problem with the preferred lift supplier for the project, and the discovery of potential significant cultural items during excavation. Both require attention, early warning. Now, you can imagine if you had 100 comments in there, that could be quite... And it's got an email, because this is a demonstration database that I've logged from booking.com, probably unrelated, right? And then it says Dennis Meehan is assigned to review this, and it's taken that from the actions here. So that's basically the technology for that is UniPhi calling OpenAI. So that's available from UniPhi 21. There is a pricing element around that. You'd be purchasing tokens. Pricing is to be defined. And so you'll need to actually purchase those to then be able to have that button appear to then click it. Then you'll see through our testing of this, sometimes it gets pretty wild and the summary ain't that great. So we've sort of helped people here to say, hey, our summary may contain mistakes. And we've got a little read more button there. And if we click that, it'll say, how does this work? How to interpret this information? And we're using this service, so you might want to know a little bit about that service as well. But then what it also does is says you can help train it to be better. And so this is the other important thing about AI is you need to be able to have an interface that helps you say, no, that was bad, or yes, this was good. And so if this was a good summary, you would thumbs up it, otherwise thumbs down it, and that'll then go into improving the way it summarizes. And we've been using it on dog food now for a month, and it's been pretty good. It's definitely saving me time. How much a month? Quite a lot, maybe a day, because we use the issue system heavily. Now, again, if you don't log issues in UniPhi and you don't use our Outlook add-in to append conversations and you don't write your own comments in there, then this is going to be absolutely useless. But if you do, this is a new feature, part of UniPhi 21, that you can get access to and save that day a month for all of your people using it. Can start to add up to some real benefits. So that button's incorporated into the documents module and the issues module at the moment. There's potential for it to be expanded. We started playing around with bringing it into timesheets so that maybe tell you what you've been doing using the communications module as a guide, but we ended up just enhancing the communications module to be able to show you what you did on a certain day that you can then feed into your timesheet. So that'll come into the 21 release presentations down the line. But I'm sure that we'll expand out this summary stuff. And while I find the summary stuff brilliant, I think there's way more value in the math-based machine learning, where you can price jobs, understand timelines, get critical issues and things like that. So 4 years ago, we mocked up what that might look like. And for this, guys, we're going to need lots of data. And so I'm just going to kick into this slideshow again. And these are some mock-ups of what we think we might be able to do. So first step, you need similar projects, similar to that cost benchmarking cash flow algorithm. That's where this has sort of come from. So if you're not, filtering on this sector, this type, this service line location, potentially, and a few other bits of metadata around floor area and things like that, if you don't have enough of that in there, you're probably not going to be able to use any of this stuff. But in this scenario, we've created a project and we've clicked on this little AI summarizer, and it's showing us similar projects for us to learn, like a lessons learned link in essence. So that's just straight filtering. It hasn't done any AI yet. But when we click on the next screen, again, it's not really AI, it's just collating all this information that you've got, which would be quite difficult if you're using, SharePoint and file structures and things like that, to give you a description of the project, its phases, what the dates were around those phases, some functional areas and units about that project. And it's there because we're going to actually say, yeah, I want to include these projects like we did in the benchmark cash flow as a collection to train AI on some stuff. So that's what we're doing here, is we're saying, okay, we need to train AI. We need to give AI the parameters of what is a good collection of projects for my project that I'm about to start on, because it's likely to have similar characteristics. And once we do that, and we've got enough projects, we'll then say, and again, this isn't AI, this is just a good database of things. Show me, but what it generates as being issues affecting completion will be AI. So it will show you the key issues on that project as generated by the algorithm that delayed it, or that made it blow out in costs, or that caused variations, or that, led to personal stakeholder issues, right? Because you can even have sentiment analysis around the way people comment. We did sentiment analysis on our system, and apparently I'm grumpy. So, these are the things that you can actually get out of it once you're getting large data sets. So, we now know that these are things we should keep in mind on our new project that might affect it, and be open to it as a risk mitigation sort of strategy. You can see this little button there. If you just want to see all the issues, you can click view issues, takes you to the issues for that project. And that's what that's doing there, drill through to the issues. With the similar issues, you can then get more information about the resolution, and the resolution will be an enhancement of that AI summarizer that I just showed you. So instead of just summarizing it, we're trying to see if we can get it to train it to say, this is how it was solved. Because we've done that on completed issues already. If you click the summarizer on a completed issue, it knows it's completed, so it says this is how it was solved. So that'll be driving the conversation here, where you go. And what also we've done is who is it that's involved, and if you hover on that, you can call them, and then or email them, or get them in a Teams meeting and discuss what the issues were and how you resolved them. Oops. There were some other screenshots, but I must have removed them. That's clever of me, or maybe they were before the screen I was looking at. Nope. So these buttons over here, sorry, like use these for scheduling, creating a budget, or logging risks or generating risks for my new project. So within the checkboxes and the buttons over here, there'll be a whole bunch of ways of generating early stage estimates, generating early stage timelines, based on the value of the information that's on these historical projects. I had a screenshot of that, but I've removed it from the PowerPoint. These aren't there yet, but they're the next stage of development in this. But really, it's a waste of time if you don't have large data sets in your database, which don't have to be your projects. But if you use the system in its fullest over time, you'll rapidly get that anyway. And then you can start to get these insights. Because they're math-based algorithms, we don't know this for sure yet, but our gleaning is that you need less. Certainly on the cash flow one that we've already built, it's incredibly accurate, far more accurate than other sort of S-curve based algorithms in other products. If you use past projects to train a future project, the profile is very, very good indeed. And you only need like 5 to 10 similar projects to do that. So yeah, something for developers and that to keep in mind if they're looking at cash flow profiles on new ideas in feasibility stage and things like that. And then again, it provides a baseline post contract. Yep.
Quick question. I guess in terms of sort of IP, we're all putting information into the system. You're now suggesting, well, we're going to leverage on all of that information to obtain certain data sets and information to help you generate cash flows or whatnot more quickly?
Not me, just you. So we don't own any of it. So it's your data that doesn't get shared with anyone else. So it can't drive someone else's algorithm.
So it only
right?
drives from your own project set?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
But
okay.
You can get other people's projects if you can get access to the data. So UniPhi is blank. This is why none of this matters in your deployment if you're not going to capture data. So I can't give you all of my clients' data to train your next project. I don't own it. I can't use it.
Understand.
Which does make it a little bit difficult. And so we are partnering with some of our clients to do sort of coalitions.
Yeah.
To get large data sets. And in the past, we have done that on benchmarking, where in the UK, all of the universities in the UK feed construction cost information into our system. And then they're able to interrogate that themselves to price new libraries, new lecture halls, and things like that. And they did that through their university industry group. So yeah, that data is the issue here. Getting access to good data is the issue.
Understand.
The actual software development isn't that hard. But the challenge, the reason full self-driving doesn't work right now is there's still not enough images of people driving on roads. All right, so the last part, I think I've gotten through it. Yeah, so I did have one little slide there of the future. Oops, generating a proposal on the fly from characteristics of the project and past proposals. If you're using UniPhi to generate your proposals, certainly the estimate. A lot of consultants can generate estimates based on past estimates. Shortlisting vendors. We've got a few clients who have got really large supplier performance databases now that we can create performance metrics around and use that to help people to generate a supplier list. Generating advanced resource profiles. So we've got clients we're doing this with already. And so again, we're using their data and we're creating the algorithms for them because it's more bespoke to them. So there's a little bit bespoke development, I guess, that enables them to say, okay, we've got these projects coming up in the future. These are their characteristics. What's our resource profile look like? How many senior BLAs do we need? How many junior X's? How much effort is it going to take? What would it cost? And they can profile that out across their portfolio. Generate risk profiles potentially in the property game around construction risk and cash flow risk. Again, combining both vendors into that analysis. So that sort of stuff. And then generating key issues to address. I showed in the screenshot. So there's sorts of things that we might develop if people are interested. It's very much a collaborative with us at the moment because, like I said, there's no point us developing an empty semantic model that might work on data if it's there. We really need to collaborate with the clients to get that data. Yeah, the common ground for the universities is that they can price jobs without going to a QS in an early stage to get business case funding and things like that. And they can benchmark estimates from QSs against past jobs quite quickly, and they're not limited to those jobs being the ones that are in their university. So that was the benefit to them. If there are, alignments potentially with consultants who have data sets that they could create that they could then use to feed property developers' decision making, there's some opportunities around that. The thing that UniPhi brings to the table is the consolidation of data and the ability to build the algorithms on top of that. The data sets themselves need to be done by industry. So that's a little bit of a taster. Now, a few points about the upgrade. So the 28th of August, if you're keen, you can book that in now for that day or any day after that. When you do, you'll be issued patch notes. The knowledge base site that I went to in the demonstration is about to be released with details behind that. This zooms things in the road. So this interface here is going to be released today. If you look at what we've done in the past here, if you go, I think it's in the knowledge area, you'll see here we've got UniPhi 20 is here. So that was last year. So UniPhi 21 is here. If we've got people on various versions, because we're very nice, we don't force upgrade everyone. If you're happy, you just keep using it. But there is a keenness, and you'll hear about this more, about upgrading everyone to 21 around security issues and authentication issues that we've upgraded. Because that world's changing rapidly. So there might be a need to investigate that further if you're way back in these old ones. When you click on those, it gives you a full list of what's changed. And in our new UniPhi 21, we've extended that to links to the actual knowledge articles about what that means. And so there was a few examples of that here, but in the 21 version, nearly everything here is a link to an article that you can then click on, and it'll tell you even more about that. So your staging deployment will be upgraded first. You'll be able to go in and, you know, play around and see what's changed and assess that there's no real impact on you in terms of, you know, major change that you might need to train people in. We can provide that training for you if you need to transition that. I don't think there'll be much, to be honest, but you can have a look and you can raise that as an issue. When you're happy with that staging environment, you then schedule in a date for, which could be that evening or the next day, to get or you might need to do some internal comms to make people aware of the changes yourself. Schedule in a date, and then the system gets upgraded out of hours around midnight. People come in the next day and they've got their new UniPhi 21 ready to rock and roll. So reach out to support or your key account that's working with you over the years to schedule that in, and yeah, it should be good. It's looking pretty exciting. I'll be doing more webinars around other features, not AI related. I mentioned the phasing screen upgrades will be the next one, and then in September, probably one a week rather than one a month, to demonstrate the other features as people get upgraded, so that there's some, you know, droning of my voice webinar videos to associate to this knowledge base as well. There'll be upgraded training videos around the new interfaces as well. And so, yeah, hopefully it'll be a big success when you get yours.